Hey everyone, welcome back. This is the next video in the series and we're going to be covering on-site SEO and really just how to implement it properly. Now, I know Google have thrown in some more ranking factors into the mix since the last algorithm update, which was Panda 2.0 or Panda 4 as some people are calling it. So this is going to be an up-to-date SEO strategy for everyone to start implementing. I've actually been using this same strategy for the best part of a year now, and just adding in the little extras as Google plods along with their algorithm update, and this website has been moving up the SERPs almost completely unaffected. Now I say almost because, like I mentioned above in this article, I haven't posted any fresh content on this website for almost 9 weeks, and the majority of the pages on this site are still on Google page 1 somewhere, so I have to be doing something right. If you're watching this video on YouTube, you obviously can't see the article that this video is on, but the link in the description below will take you to retiredstudent.com. If you haven't already built your website and know nothing about market research, then I highly recommend that you head over to retiredstudent.com and go to how to start an online business and watch me build a niche site video. That is the first video in the series and you should start there if you know nothing about internet marketing. But if you have your website and everything else built, then and you want to learn about on-site SEO, then don't move. Okay, on the last video we used a website called tvantennas@digitaltv.com and we built that from scratch. Now, because I use the same SEO strategy for all my websites, it doesn't matter which one I show you on. So I thought it would be better for you to see how it's done on the website that I actually plan to publish this video on. That way you can see me write the article, do all the SEO stuff and publish the article, then eventually you'll be able to actually see that article on Google. Okay, so the first thing we have to do is install the all-in-one SEO plugin and the all-in-one SEO pack. So if we head over to plugins and add new, and the one we're looking for is by a company called Yoast and the developer's name is Justevok. Okay, so that's the one you're looking for, so install that, and I've already got it installed now. And the next one that we're going to want to install is the all-in-one SEO pack, and this developer, his name is Michael Torbert. Okay, so it's just this first one here, so install that as well. Right, the next step is we go to settings and general, and we're going to update our site title and our tagline. So for the site title, it's just going to be the name of your website, and the tagline is just what your website is about. So this is going to be your main keyword if it's suitable, or if not, just put something in there that best describes your website. It is a tagline, so it should be short and sweet. Personally, I don't waste too much time trying to find a keyword for the tagline because one of the plugins that we installed will take care of this. I really just try to come up with something catchy and memorable. However, if you can get a keyword in there that meets the requirements, such as it gets decent traffic, has low competition, it's catchy and describes your website, then you should definitely try and get a keyword in there. On your new website, the tagline will say just another WordPress site. Make sure you change this. You'd be amazed at the amount of websites that don't actually change this tagline and then their site then becomes searchable under that term. Also, some themes actually show this tagline on the front end, like mine, and some don't, so make sure you change it. I'll just show you where this appears on the front end of my theme. So my tagline is become a successful internet entrepreneur, and that's the tagline up there. Okay, so the next thing we have to do is update our home title and our description. So if we go to all-in-one SEO and general settings, and we're going to want to scroll down to the home title, and in here you're going to put in your main keyword and the name of your website. So if we scroll down to this section here, you're going to want to put in your main keyword and the name of your website. In the home description, this is going to be what your website is about. Okay, so you only get 156 characters, so be brief and don't include your keyword more than twice. The home description is the meta description that appears under your website's home link in the search engines. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so this meta description here is what you write in here. Okay, and that's all you have to do in here. Don't put anything in the home keywords, leave this blank and just leave everything else as is and hit update at the bottom. Okay, the next thing we have to do is change our URL structure. So if we head over to settings and permalinks and change our permalinks from the default setting to custom structure, and it should show you / percentage postname / percentage. If that's not already in there, you put that in there yourself, and that's all you have to do in here. Okay, and just hit save changes. The last thing I want to point out is something that I actually haven't been doing. Okay, so if we head over to appearance and under menus, I'll show you exactly what I mean by this. It would be better if you can see it. Okay, this is the menu that I created through the custom menu section. So if we go back, you see that I haven't actually been using the title attribute. So for example, if we go to how to build a website, the link that this menu is the article that this menu link is pointing to is my Watch Me Build a Niche Site video. So in this title attribute, I should actually put in Watch Me Build niche site. Okay, and that would be my keyword, and you just save that. And what this will do is on your main menu, it will give you a little description box that pops out when you scroll over it, so that people know what the article is about. I'll show you what I mean. There's the little description box. Okay, now I don't know how beneficial this will be because I've not been testing it, but it's something that I've picked up lately that could maybe help with your Google rankings. Now maybe some people might not want to divulge their keyword like this, but it's something to keep in mind. Right, so that is us optimised our homepage. Now it didn't really take that long. If I wasn't walking you through the process, it probably took me 5 minutes max, so it's worth doing it anyway. Okay, now we're going to cover our pages and post optimization. So for this part, I'm going to write an article that this video is going to be published with, and I'm going to cover all the major SEO points that will get this article ranked, and I'm going to walk you through what I've done. So if we head over to our post section and go to add new, so we're in the create new post screen. I'm going to name this article on-site SEO how-to guide video lesson. Okay, now bear in mind I've already conducted keyword research and market research for this keyword, so I know my competition is fairly strong. I think the QSR was around 380 competing pages, so I already know the effort required to get this article ranked. If you want to know how to do keyword research and market research, then head over to my last video. It's on retiredstudent.com, how to start an online business, how to build a website. It's the getting started video. Okay, right, I'm going to pause this video for a while and I'm going to write out this article, and I'll go over everything I've done when I get back. Hi everyone. So I went ahead and created this article and published it. Now the first thing I'd done as far as on-site SEO or page and post SEO was I made sure my keyword was in my article title. Now if you can get your keyword to the start of your article title, then that's fantastic, as long as it makes sense. If you can't get it to the start, then don't worry too much about it, just as long as it's in there. The next thing I'd done was I made sure my keyword was in the first sentence of my article. Now if you can't get it in the first sentence and have it make sense at the same time, then just make sure that you've got it in the first paragraph. It's really important to get it in the first sentence, but if you can't, don't worry too much about it. The reason for this is Google uses this to quickly identify what your article is about and to quickly identify that it's about the keyword that you said it's about. The next thing I tend to check is my URL. Now you should have your keyword in your URL, but if you don't, then the best thing to do is just copy and paste your article title into this section here and click OK. Okay, so after that, all I done was I made sure I was using H1, H2 and H3 headings in my articles. Now this is really important to use these subheadings because it adds structure to your article, which in turn helps your visitors read through your article a lot better, and it's also an SEO requirement. So I'll always do my best to try and get at least one of my keywords in one of these subheadings. If I can get it in more than one subheading, then that's even better, just as long as it makes sense. If you want to create a H1, H2 or H3 heading, all you have to do is highlight the text that you want to make a heading and scroll up to this section here and choose whichever heading you want. Now some of these, like the font size and these other tools here, I use a plugin called Tiny MCE Advanced. You won't have these tools up here on your new WordPress site because they don't come standard, but if you install the Tiny MCE Advanced plugin, then you'll have these tools. Okay, so the next really important thing we have to do is fill out our meta description and make sure we have our keyword in our meta description. I don't have a meta description filled out. Okay, I'll do this just now and we'll kill two birds with one stone. Okay, so I'll probably end up changing this meta description at some point, but it looks good to me now, so I think we'll go with this. Right, as you can see, all this is a small paragraph of what your article is about, and you only get 156 characters, so try your best not to go over the preset limit, because if you do, if you look at this little section up here, if you go over the preset limit, Google starts to cut off your meta description, and you don't want that. Okay, if you don't write a description that's relevant enough to your article, Google will generate one based on your content. So make sure you get your keyword in there, but not more than twice, and make sure it's relevant to your article. This is your chance to entice people to read your article and boost your SEO for that article, so you don't want Google choosing one for you. Okay, so after that, you're going to want to make sure your content is more than the minimum 300 words. If you write an article that's under 300 words, I wouldn't be surprised if Google doesn't index it. The way they see it, or the way I think they see it, is if an article is under 300 words, how is that going to help people solve a problem or be useful to someone? I would say personally a good article is between 500 and 800 words. A lot of mine tend to be over the 1000 word mark, some even reaching as much as 1600 words, but you don't have to have yours that long. I just can't shut up for some reason. Okay, so anywhere in the region of 5 to 800 words, and that should be perfect. Unless you've got this really contagious charisma that you can bring across in your articles that makes people want to read, then yeah, absolutely go for a big nice long article, because Google likes that. But generally speaking, and this is from personal experience as well, it's harder to get through a big long-winded article, especially if it's boring. So I would stick between the 500 and 800 word mark in your articles. I think well, this word count for WordPress has seemed to be messed up a lot recently. I think this is actually characters, but my word count for this I think is around the 800 odd mark. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at is keyword density. This part of your SEO checklist really has to be implemented properly, okay? It's really important. First off, you want your keyword density to be between 1 and 2%. Anything above that is considered keyword stuffing, and Google will penalise your site for that. Some people say your keyword density should be as much as 5%, but that's just ridiculous talk. Keyword stuffing is grey hat SEO, and your website will face consequences if you start any of that rubbish. Okay, so anybody who tells you your keyword density should be above 2%, don't listen to them, okay, because it's grey hat SEO and your site will run into a few problems. This all-in-one SEO plugin down here that we installed earlier, if we go to this, you can see that for this article my keyword density is 1.58% and my keyword was found 15 times. Now I would even go as far to say that that is a lot for this article. I try to keep my keyword density around between 1 and 1.20%, which in this case my keyword would be found probably 11 times in this article. Okay, so the keyword density is a really important part of your checklist, and it's really important that it's implemented properly, okay, because you could run into problems if Google thinks you're trying to stuff keywords into your article. Right, so after that, what you're going to want to do is optimize your images. So if you come up to one of your images and click this little edit box, all I mean by optimizing your images is we're going to add in this little text box, title tag, and we're going to add in this alt tag here, which is your alternative text. Now the title tag is more for user experience, okay, so say for example you add an image to your post, you know what that image is about, but it's not really clear to the reader what is meant by that image. What you can do is you can add in this little description which will explain what the image is about, so when a user scrolls over the image, that little text box will appear. Okay, it's important that you include that. The next thing is the alt tags. So in here you're going to want to put your keyword there. Oh, by the way, see adding your keyword to the alt tags, I've found that it's actually a great way to boost your keyword density if you're struggling to find a place for more keywords in your content. So you know, if you write an article that's relatively short and you try to get your keyword in there a lot, what you'll find is it will start to make less sense to the reader. So by adding your keyword to your alt tags, I've found that it's a great way around this. Also, one of the things you don't want to do is upload a huge image and then make it smaller in this little editor here, okay, because what that does is it messes with your page load speed, which is a big SEO factor. Now, to explain what happens here, when you request a page from Google, loads of different commands are executed before that page loads. For example, the CSS, the JavaScript, the text loads. And in terms of images, what happens is if you upload a big image and make it small in this editor, it will have to send away for the bigger image and then make that image smaller on the fly. So basically what's happening is it's more commands than it needs. It has to execute more commands than it would usually have to if the image was already the size that you wanted it when you uploaded it. So the best thing to do in this case is, before you upload your image, you should edit it to the size you want it. That way your page load speed will be a lot quicker. For this, I tend to use the Snagit editor by TechSmith, which is an image editing software that I use personally, and it's really good. So really, for image optimization, all you're going to do is add in your image title and your keyword alt tags. As far as user experience goes in terms of images, you're always going to want to have images in your articles, okay, because this helps break up the text, making it easier to read, meaning visitors are less likely to leave your page because they were overwhelmed by too much text. And this is actually an SEO factor as well, because what happens is it decreases your page bounce rate, which says to Google your content is helpful and that people are liking and reading it, which in turn they'll end up bumping up the SERPs for it because your content's obviously helpful. Now, page bounce rate is basically when you type something into Google and you click on that web page, if you were to leave through that same web page that you clicked on, for example, you clicked on an image that never opened in a new window, or you pressed the back button, that would increase your page bounce rate, which isn't good. So to make sure we don't increase our site's bounce rate, we really want to be providing our users with useful, relevant content. Okay, so user experience actually plays a big role in SEO. The way I tend to look at it is, when a visitor comes to your website, you want them to complete as many of these 6 actions. You want them to like your article, you want them to share your article, you want them to comment on your article, you want them to continue reading to another article on your site because you've been internal linking, and we'll cover that in a wee minute. You want them to click on an affiliate link or an ad and buy a product you're promoting, or if you're building an email list, you want them to sign up. Now, if you can get them to complete as many of the actions as possible, that's great. But to get them to do this, you have to think of things from their perspective rather than thinking of things from the search engine's perspective. So if you think of it like this, what do you expect when you go into a website? Does that website solve a problem that you were searching for, or is it just another one of the websites that you go onto and you read a few paragraphs and you realise that the content's not really that useful or relevant to what you're searching for, and then you click the back button and leave the site? Do you see where I'm coming from? So if you think of it like this, when you write an article, you want your article to be engaging, useful, and answer all the questions that the visitor will be searching for. So basically, you want your visitor to come onto that article, read it, and find everything they're looking for and then some. What I mean by that is answering questions that they didn't think they needed to know the answer to. So for example, one of my articles that I wrote recently was 8 realistic ways to make money online. Now, I went over 8 business ventures or business startups, online startups for entrepreneurs, and basically what I did was I provided resources that the visitors could go to in order to start that business venture. So they were looking for 8 realistic ways to make money online. I provided their 8 realistic ways, and I also pointed them towards resources where they could get started. Okay, so that's the kind of things you want to be doing for your visitors when they come to your website. You don't want to just answer their question, you want to think about the next question that they're going to ask after they find that out and answer that for them as well. So it's really about giving your users the best experience possible on your website. So have a think about these things before you write your next article. There's also other things we can do as well, such as having lots of white space in our articles. Now, white space just breaks up the text as well, so that the user isn't overwhelmed by all the text. I'll give you an example of what I mean. So if we scroll down to the most recent article, I publish, which is the 8 realistic ways to make money online. So if we go through this article, you'll see that there's plenty of white space. Well, in my case it's grey space because my theme background is grey, but for talking sake we'll say white space because most websites you go onto, their background is white. So basically all I mean by this is make sure there's plenty of this space between your content. Really what I'm saying is just make sure there's small paragraphs, because people like to read things in little chunks. It just makes it easier to get through. There's also plenty of images in this post, and this is basically breaking up the text as well. It's just making it easier for your readers. Also, what you should think about as well is the theme that you choose. Is the font big enough? Because you don't want your visitors squinting trying to read your font. Now, initially when I installed this theme, my font size was very small, and if we go down to the comments at the bottom, you'll actually see how small it was. Now I can't do anything about this. It was actually really light grey as well, slightly darker than my theme background, but it was light grey and it was really hard to read. So what I had to do was I installed that tiny MC Advanced plugin that we were talking about earlier, and that basically let me change my font size. So because it gives us this little option up here. So you really need to think about your font size is big enough as well, because if people are squinting and struggling to read your content, they're going to leave your site. Okay, so that's something to definitely consider. Oh yeah, and as well, make sure at the start of your post you have an image above the fold, which is basically where the text starts to disappear. So just above this section here, make sure that you have an image above this fold in this section. Okay, because visitors are visual. It's just more eye-catching to start reading an article with an image in the fold rather than, I don't know if it's like this these days, because I found that a lot of sites actually have a lot of images on their website, but if you've came across a website recently where there is no image and it's just a sea of text all the way down, it's really difficult to read because it just feels so long-winded, and you don't want to sit and read an article that isn't visually appealing as well. So definitely have an image above the fold. Okay, that's really important. Right, so the last thing I would say on this is use categories for your posts, okay, because it tidies up your navigation, it tidies up your website, and it improves user experience. Now, for example, in this blog section here, this archives all the blog posts that I've ever wrote for this website. Now, out of all the posts that I've ever wrote, 4 of them have been product reviews, which I decided to categorise under this product reviews category which I created. 3 of them are legitimate products and 1 of them are scams. Okay, so to create this custom menu, all I did was I went into my back end, I went down to posts and then categories, and I created 2 categories. So one of them was legitimate products and one of them was scams. Okay, so to do that, all you done was type in the name of the category here and the slug. Now the slug, all that is whatever the name is in lowercase and all together, okay, because that's going to be part of your URL. And once you've created them, just click add new category. Now once you've done that, you're going to want to go to appearance and menus. Now in this section you'll see that I've got about 4 menus here. When you start and come into this section, you're not going to have that. Okay, so you're going to click add new menu and you can call it whatever you want. Now if you scroll down a second, if you've seen the name of the full category that these 2 were under was product reviews. Now this is basically a link that I've took the link out of to make it non-clickable, so that it acts as the name of the category. Now I'll show you how I've done that in a second, but once you create these 2 categories in the last section just there, they'll come into this category section here, so you're just going to tick these 2 boxes off and click add to menu and they'll appear in here. Now to create the name of the category, all I done was I went up to custom URL and I typed in any URL. Okay, so it's not really going to mark because we're going to delete it in a second. So all I done was I put in retiredstudent.com, which is my homepage, and I put in a label. Now the URL has to be a real URL, it can't be made up. So click to add menu and it should appear in the bottom down here. So once you've created this menu, all you do is remove the link. Alright, and that's exactly what I've done with this product reviews bit up here. So that basically makes this unclickable. Okay. Now once you've done that, all you do is, these will probably land underneath it somewhere, because you'll have a lot of different headings under your menu. So just drag it up to where you want it and slide it in, and that's all there is to it, and then click save menu. Now once you've done that, all you have to do is go into the posts and choose whichever posts you want to put into the categories. I'll show you what I mean. Now the reviews that I made and put into those categories was a while ago, so they'll be on my last page somewhere. Okay, we'll use the Jaxie review as an example. Okay, so once I created this review and published it, all I did was I came down to this categories section here and chose which categories I wanted this review to appear in. So I chose my main blog and I chose legitimate products and I clicked update. Okay, so that is literally all there is to it. It's as simple as that. Okay, so now if we come over to product reviews, you'll see that these categories both appear on my main menu and this product review section isn't clickable. Okay, so if we click on that, you'll see that I have 3 reviews in here. One is the Chris Farrell membership, Jaxie, and the Wealth Affiliate University. Okay, so all this does is it makes it easier for visitors to get about your site, and it just basically improves your site experience. So you're going to want to implement custom menus like this so that your visitors get the best experience possible on your website. Okay, so the last 2 things that I want to cover is internal linking and Google authorship. Now, internal linking is going to be a big part of your SEO. Okay, so I really want you to go out your way to do this. All it is using anchor text to link your articles together. Okay, so I'll see if I can find you an example. Right, if we scroll down on this page here, oh, actually, this link here is an outbound link to the New Boston, which is basically a website that teaches you how to code. I'm actually working through the Java programming coding language just now, which is really good, but the website does teach basically every desirable programming language that there is, and it's really good. So if you're ever into that sort of thing, then I definitely recommend you check out the New Boston. Now the reason I bring this up is because outbound links should be part of your SEO checklist. They should be on your page, but they don't have to be all the time, just when it's relevant. Okay, just make sure that you're internal linking all the time. Now, one thing you should do, you should never do, sorry, is have an entire article sprinkled with outbound links, because Google will just see it as a big landing page and it will demote you in the rankings. So moderate your outbound links depending on the size of your article. The only time that I would say that this is actually acceptable is by centralising your offer page. Now, for example, my centralised offer page is the Wealthy Affiliate Review, so I have an internal link going to the Wealthy Affiliate Review on 90% of my pages, and my Wealthy Affiliate Review has at least one outbound link going to the Wealthy Affiliate University on that page, on each page, sorry. Now, the reason the Wealthy Affiliate University is my centralised offer page is because, quite frankly, it's the best online business community for aspiring internet entrepreneurs. I believe the training works because the evidence is right in front of my eyes. I mean, the website you're on now is a product of the Wealthy Affiliate training. You know, I believe in a community, and I firmly believe in the fact that they can teach anyone how to start an online business. Now, I've been a member there for, what, a year and a half now, paying £30 a month, so if it truly wasn't the best online business school, community, university, you know, whatever you want to call it, I wouldn't have stayed there this long paying. And it's not even that, I mean, it's established itself as one of the #1 internet marketing training grounds over the last 8 years, you know, since it was founded in 2005, and it now accompanies over 50,000 members. So, you know, Wealthy Affiliate literally speaks for itself in that respect, and that is why my Wealthy Affiliate review is the most important page on my site, and why I'm confident that pointing people that want to make a living online in that direction won't affect my credibility as an internet marketer. So, being the most important page, it's obvious that I want to tell as many people about it as I can, which means I have to centralise that page by pointing the majority of my articles back to it, but only if they're relevant. So, you know, if I'm writing an article tutorial on how to swim, I'm not going to point someone back to the Wealthy Affiliate University because it's not relevant. There's no point. So as long as the articles are relevant, which in my case, my website's about starting an online business, so the majority of my articles are going to be relevant anyway. So yeah, having quite a few outbound links on a centralised offer page is way better than having loads of outbound links on all or nearly all of your articles. And also, centralising an offer page tells Google that it's important, and Google then ranks accordingly. So it does actually help with your SEO for that page, and that's a quick lesson on centralising your offer page. Now, as far as internal linking goes, right, okay, this is a good example here. This link here and this link down here both go to the same article. Now, one of them is anchor text, which describes what the article is about, and one of them is the actual name of the article. Now, that's perfectly fine to do, okay? So if someone was to click on this article, they would get taken straight to the article and they would know what it's about because the text explains what the article is about. Okay, so that's just an example of internal linking. Now, one thing you shouldn't do is put in the actual link of that page, like this up here. Okay, so like the http://www. Because Google doesn't like that. Let's see if there's any more. Yeah, and this one here just goes to the Wealthy Affiliate review. Yeah, so you get the point. Internal linking is very important. It makes it easier for Google bots to crawl your site and find new pages, and it boosts your site SEO and boosts your rankings. Put it this way, if you don't think your own content that you've written is a good enough resource to link to, so in which case you end up linking to another website as your resource, then why would Google want to rank your content? So it's just little things like this that make a difference to your SEO ranking. If you want to link something, all you have to do is come over to the text that you want to make a link, just highlight it and click on this little paperclip up here, enter the URL in here, and in this section here put a description explaining to the person where the link is taking them, and always open your link in a new window, okay, because this will affect your bounce rate if the link is opening in the same window. Okay, the last thing we need to cover is Google authorship. Now, this is the little image that appears beside the search results in Google, so if you don't know what it is yet, it's just this little image here that appears under the search results. Now, this does boost your click-through rate, it does boost your Google ranking, and it's believed that very soon this is going to be one of Google's biggest ranking metrics, so it's really important that you get this sorted out now. I've provided you with a link below this lesson that leads to a really good video tutorial on setting up Google authorship. Now, the author's name is Craig and he goes by the name Welshie in Wealthy Affiliate. Now, I could have shown you this myself, but you know, there's so many tutorials out there that that I can't show you any better than anybody else is going to show you. But the thing with the tutorial that I'm pointing you to the now is Welshie does it manually so that he doesn't use a plugin, which is really important because plugins they tend to reduce the speed of your site, which is also a big ranking metric. So we want to use as little plugins as possible. So I'll show you what the videos like that you're going to be watching. Yeah, so you know, in Wealthy Affiliate, it's not just internet marketing you learn. I mean, the skills you learn are transferable. So what this is a webinar that's a live webinar on Friday. You know, Jay does his webinars every Friday, and it's about local marketing. So if you don't know what local marketing is, just basically if you have a client that stays next to you who runs a small business and he's looking to expand and go online, then you're his go-to guy if you know what local marketing, which this is basically a webinar that's going to teach that. So you know, Wealthy Affiliate does teach a lot more than just internet marketing. I mean, the skills are transferable. You can literally use the skills you learn here in any business involved in online marketing. Okay, so the video we are going to be looking for is Google authorship, or how to set up Google authorship. And it's by Welshie. And yet, like I said, the way Welshie does it in this tutorial is much better because you really don't have to use a plugin. And that's what we're really all trying to get away from now, is using too many plugins on our site, because it's very easily done. It adds so much functionality to your site, but they're an absolute nightmare for speeding it down. So yeah, this is the video tutorial that you're going to be watching. You might have to create your free account to view the video, or you're probably going to have to create a free account to watch the video, but believe me when I say that having a free Wealthy Affiliate account is a million times better than going it in this business alone. Okay, so if the manual method isn't working for your website, there is Welshie does, or Craig, he does show the method in here that will involve using a plugin, which is the method that I use at the moment, but I'm going to convert to this just now because I've been putting it off for too long. So just head over, create your free account and watch this video tutorial, because that is the last step in your on-site SEO checklist. Okay, I guarantee once you join Wealthy Affiliate you won't look back. Right, so just to recap on everything we've done. If we preview the changes in this article, and we'll just quickly run through the checklist. Okay, so this here is the article that we've sat and created from scratch. Now, I've walked you through the entire SEO process that I use for my on-site SEO. So if we scroll down to the bottom where I've made this checklist, I'm just going to quickly run over it to make sure that we've done everything we're supposed to. Okay, so a recap for our homepage. These first couple of steps are for our homepage only. So the first thing we done was we installed the all-in-one SEO and the all-in-one SEO pack. Now, because these two plugins do the same thing, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of fought against each other, because you know they serve the same purpose. So if you had to pick between both of these plugins to use, I would always go with the all-in-one SEO by Yoast, because I just think that it's a much better plugin. Okay, so the next thing we done was we updated our site title to the name of our website. After that, we updated our tagline to contain our main site keyword if possible. Now remember, when you create your new WordPress website, this tagline is going to say just another WordPress site. You need to remember to change that, okay, because your site will then become searchable under that term, and it will become searchable under any term that you set as the tagline. So don't forget to do that. After that, we updated our home title and description both with our keyword. And finally, updated our URL custom structure to / percentage postname / percentage. Next, we looked at optimising our pages and posts. Now, this article that we wrote just now is actually a post, but the same on-site SEO principles still apply for pages as well. Now, the first thing we had to do was we had to make sure that our keyword was in our page title. If you can get your keyword to the start of your page title, then that's better, that's kind of preferred. If it doesn't make sense at the start of your title, then don't worry about it too much, just as long as it's in there, because this is one of the first things that Google looks at when pulling out search results for people that are searching for things on Google or other search engines. After that, we had to make sure that our keyword appeared in the first sentence and paragraph of our article. Now, again, it's really important to get your keyword in the first sentence. If you can't get it in the first sentence without it making sense, then don't worry about it too much. Again, just make sure that it's in the first paragraph, but always do your best to try and get it in the first sentence. Next, we're looking at using H1, 2 and 3 headings. Really, with this I tend to use H3 headings because H2 and H1 headings in the middle of the article just are too big. So I prefer to use H3 headings in this case. We also were looking at getting at least one keyword in one of these headings. If you can get one keyword in at least one of the headings, then that's good. If you can get it in more than one heading, then that's brilliant as well. Getting a keyword in these headings isn't a necessity, you know, it's not considered a big ranking metric, but it's good to have in there anyway. After that, we looked at having our images uploaded from our own computer. Now, the reason for this is, say you use an image in your article that's came from a URL. If that URL is linked to another website, which probably 100% of the time it's going to be, if that website goes down for any reason, then your image is going to disappear off your website. So by uploading the images from your own computer, you host them on your own server, which means you're not going to lose your images unless your own site goes down. Okay, so we also had to have image titles, so we had to use our title tags. We said that this was basically for user experience, because if you were to put up an image that doesn't really make that much sense to the reader but it makes sense to you, it's good to have a little title tag in there to explain what the image is about. After that, we were looking at having the keyword and the image alt tags. We were talking about how this is great for boosting the keyword density of an article. So if you're struggling to get a keyword in your article because it's in there too much already and it just looks like keyword stuffing, and for that reason it's not really making a lot of sense to the readers, then you can stick your keywords in the alt tags and this will boost your keyword density for that article. Again, as well, for the images, we were looking at having to optimise your images by using Smush It. Now, I don't think we went over this, so I'll quickly show you what Smush It is. Now, this is just basically a tool from Yahoo whereby it gets rid of any unnecessary bytes in your images. Now, by that it means it'll take away all the extra bytes in the images, but it won't affect the quality of the image. So basically all you do is go to upload image and select the file that you want to upload. Okay, so that's once Smush It's finished compressing that file and getting rid of all the bytes, just download it and then you head over to your images. So you just want to add the image and upload the image again from your computer, and that's all there is to it. We were also looking at having the keyword in the page and post meta description. This is obviously really important because this is another thing that Google looks at when pulling results back for someone who's doing a search in Google or other search engines. Having the keyword in the meta description is basically telling Google that your website or that article on your website is about what you said the keyword it's about. The meta description as well, we spoke about how it's also a good opportunity for you to get people to read your articles, to entice them to click through on your link. So it's really important that you optimize your meta description with your keyword and optimize it so that it's relevant to your article. Keyword is in the page and post URL. Again, just make sure that your keyword is in the post URL, because that's another thing that Google looks at. Our articles are more than 400 words long. You know, we spoke about how if an article is less than 400 words, it's not really going to have enough in it to be helpful to the reader. So I wouldn't be surprised if Google doesn't index it. Our article and keyword density is between 1 and 2%. So this is really where you want to keep your keyword density in this range, because it's not considered keyword stuffing at this point. But I would say anything above 2% is definitely going into grey hat SEO and stuffing those keywords in there. So try and keep it between 1 and 2%. And we made good use of our post tags. I don't think we went over that. Basically, your post tags is this little section down here. So this article is about on-site SEO, so I'm just going to stick one tag in here. I think you should only really be looking to stick one tag in here, so just stick your keyword and leave it like that. Okay. The next thing we want to consider is content optimization. Now, we haven't really went over this in detail at all, so I'll quickly cover what I mean by this just now. Basically, the content on your website is unique, and that goes for the images and the videos as well. Now, basically, for as long as I've been in internet marketing, there's been this huge buzz around duplicate content. Now, I'm going to dispel a big myth here. It used to be that people thought Google would penalise your website or give you a penalty for having duplicate content on your website. That technically isn't the case, okay? What tends to happen is if Google finds duplicate content on your website or duplicate content on your website and another website, maybe that person's copied content from your website to theirs or vice versa, Google then tends to filter the content out. So there's not really a penalty, so to speak. It's more Google just deciding to choose which of the two duplicate content is more directed towards the visitor, or, you know, what the visitor's looking for. And generally speaking, I think how it works is the website with the highest page rank wins the toss up. Okay, so basically there's no such thing as a Google penalty for having duplicate content on your website. This, however, does not mean that you can go and copy content from another website and paste it on yours and try and pass it off as your own, okay? Because it's just unethical. Okay, it's in your best practice as an internet marketer to always produce unique, helpful content of your own. Now, there is the occasional one where, you know, Google will spot content spammers where there's obvious deceptions on the site where they've tried to get around the system. Now, in that case, Google could probably demote their website or, you know, give them some kind of penalty. I don't really know how that works, but as far as content, unique content, there is no such thing as an actual penalty. The content just gets filtered out, and whichever one's more relevant to the person searching for something related to that content, that's the one that will get showed to that person. Now, the bigger problem is if you have duplicate content on your website. Now, say for example, I wrote 2 reviews on Jaxie that had identical URLs or almost identical URLs. What would happen was both of them articles wouldn't appear in someone's Google search. Only one of them would get picked. Now, that might seem like a penalty to you, but it's not really. Like I said, Google is just filtering out and choosing which one they find is more relevant to the person searching for the content. Okay, so what you really need to take from this here is, starting out in internet marketing and from here on in, always produce useful, unique, helpful content, okay? Because that's what Google's looking for, and that's the road to long-term success online. Next, you want to make sure your content is published on your website first, unless you're doing off-site SEO. So again, if you're into doing off-site SEO, which we'll get into in the next lesson, that's like posting content on article directories like street articles or eZine. Basically, if you publish content, one of your articles, on one of the article directories first and then publish it on your website, that is considered duplicate content. Now I think what would happen here is Google would filter that out. It would then decide which one is more relevant to the reader or the person looking to find that content, and that's the one that would get shown in the search engines. Now in retrospect, this could be a good thing, because no matter what way you look at it, it's still your content. So if someone gets to your content through street articles, at the bottom of that article there's going to be a link back to your website, so they're going to find your website anyway. But if the one at street articles doesn't get shown, then the one at your website is going to get shown, so they're going to land on your website again anyway. So it's a win-win. But again, you shouldn't be looking to publish duplicate content on an article directory and on your website at the same time. So you choose one of each. Okay. Content is published every day or every 2 days bare minimum. Now I'm going to retract this just now, and I'm going to say that if you're a person who relies entirely on search engine optimization for all your traffic, then this applies to you. But if you're using other funnels to get traffic, for example social media, forums, YouTube, and pay-per-click marketing and stuff like that, then you can post content on your website 2-3 times a week, okay? Because this will give Google a time to actually index your content, and it's still showing that Google that you have an active website. Okay, so the idea of publishing content regularly is to show that Google that you have an active website, and in turn Google are likely to index your content a lot higher and a lot faster. Okay, that's kind of part of building an authority website, and that's what Google likes. They like big authority websites. Okay, next bit was visitor experience. Now for the first one for this, it was font size, okay, and this is kind of a no-brainer. You don't want people squinting trying to read your content, okay, because they're just going to leave your website if they can't read it. Okay, so make sure your font size is nice and clear, so that visitors to your website can read your articles, okay. Plenty of white space in your articles, so just small paragraphs. Make it so that it's your paragraphs are in small chunks, so that we spoke about it, so that readers can find it a lot easier to flow through your article. You have a related post section at the bottom of your article. Okay, so at the bottom of mine, my related post section is here. Okay, so obviously that's all my latest posts. Now not all themes have this integrated. A lot of them do, but not all of them do, so you can always get a plugin that'll show related posts at the bottom of your post. Next is internal linking, and we spoke about the importance of internal linking on your website. Okay, so make sure that you're implementing this. Images are informative when clicked and not links to products or promotions. Now for example, this image here, okay, this is a one-off occasion where in one of my articles this actually goes to the Wealthy Affiliate University when it's clicked, but usually in 99% of my posts, when this image is clicked, it will open up in a new window and people will be able to read this, and it's informative, okay. Now this is a one-off occasion. Again, maybe in another article on this website that image does take someone to something that I'm promoting, but it's only if it's relevant at the time, and it makes a lot of sense to do that, because this is more from personal experience. When I'm on a website and I see an image like this, I generally want to click on it and find out what it's telling me, but see, when it takes me to a promotion, it's something that really gets to me and it frustrates me. So I bring that same principle onto my own website. and most of my images, when they're clicked, they're informative and they're telling people something. Okay, so only in a rare occasion I would suggest that you link the image to a product. Okay, and the last one is make sure you have a call to action at the bottom of your article. So, you know, did you find this SEO guide helpful? Leave a comment and let us know what you think. Now, I haven't actually implemented this yet at the bottom of this article, but I will. It's basically, you know, you want your visitors to leave feedback. You want to know how your work is. You want to know if there's anything that you can change to make it better. You know, anything that visitors are like, for example, if you're watching this video just now, you could tell me things that you didn't like about it, or things that you did like about it, and that would be feedback for me, and I could then take that on board and use it when I'm creating my other videos, or, you know, if it's on an article or whatever. You know, feedback is always welcomed. So make sure you have a call to action of some kind at the bottom of your article, as long as it's related to what your article is and what you want your visitor to do. So it could be to leave a comment at the bottom, or, you know, to contact you if the person needs any help with anything. Okay, internal linking again. So pages and posts have internal links. Okay, that's important. And internal links use keywords and non-keyword anchor text. So, you know, when we spoke about that article that we were on, the one that went to the 6-step process to making money online, one of them was the actual name of the post which was linked, and one of it was relevant text of what the post was about that it's linking to. So, you know, use a mix of both on your article. And obviously Google authorship has been implemented. Okay, so the Google authorship is really important. It is a ranking metric right now, but very soon it's going to be considered a huge ranking metric for Google. So it's really important that you get this implemented as soon as possible. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this lesson. Now, everything you've learned here is how I do it. Okay, it's how I implement SEO on my website. Now, through this video, I've paused it a few times and I've stopped it and I've come back, you know, just to edit the video and take things out that shouldn't have been in there. So the point I'm making is, I haven't paused this video and went away and added in little wee bits and not told you what I've done. Okay, everything that I've done that you've watched in this video is how I implement SEO on my website. Okay, so if you'd like to leave a comment below and tell me if you found this lesson helpful, you know, that would be great. And remember, if you have any questions, you can also ask below, or you can contact me via Wealthy Affiliate when you create your free account. If you click on the contact me below, you'll be taken straight to my Wealthy Affiliate profile where you can ask me anything you like. Or, you know, if you click on the contact below, it will take you to my contact page where I have an email address if you'd rather contact me via email. Now, I really would encourage you to contact me if you need help with anything. You know, I'm absolutely here to help, and I know how hard internet marketing can be when you're going it alone. So, you know, my help is here if you want it. You just need to ask, and I'll do my best to help you with anything now related to your business and anything that you need going forward. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video lesson, everyone, and we'll get cracking on with the next video lesson very soon. That will be on off-site SEO. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed everything, guys, and we'll talk soon.